Jimena Ocampo. Jimena is an architect graduated from Tec de Monterrey. She studied an MSc in city design and social science at the London School of Economics and Political Science, where she developed different research works on the public and the role of civil society in the transformation of the city. She worked as an urban designer in Embark, now WRI Mexico, and later founded Derive Lab, a laboratory that seeks to explore, understand, and inspire other new ways of living and thinking about life in the city. She's also co-founder of BIMA, a cultural center in Querétaro, Mexico, dedicated to art and architecture and community projects. Jimena has taught an urban design course in Universidad Anahuac since 2019 and has been the recipient of various grants from institutions such as the Design Trust, Hong Kong in 2018, and the Active Travel Academy at the University of Westminster in 2020. Jimena is currently a young fellow of the Mexican National Endowment of Arts with the project 1,000 plus ways of occupying public space in Mexico. Jimena, over to you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. You're seeing it now, right? Yeah, so this is actually what I want to present to you now. This is not like an architecture project or a architecture practice-based project. It's more a research, an artistic research project that I've been doing for the last months. It is actually like a catalog of uses, objects, elements, and actions of occupation of public space in different Mexican cities. And beyond observation, what I'm trying to do is to build some like index cards that represent, illustrate, and analyze the complexity of such uses. And the aim of this project is to inform theory from practice. This is like the practice city, not really from the architectural practice, but on how people use the space and actually, like practice the city. And then from theory to inform, again, like architectural practice and what can we learn as architects and urban designers from the way people use space, even if it's not well or if it's not designed at all. So to talk about the framework, this is what I've been looking for: occupations of public space that produce public life or bring informality and heterogeneity to rigid places. So I'm looking for informal or unplanned uses, spontaneous actions, everyday activities, reinterpretations of objects and spaces, which is an example that I show in here. I am interested in random decision or personal whim, the hacking of infrastructures, unforeseen or unpredictable acts, and objects that have been found, modified, reinterpreted, or adapted. And here are some examples. No?
Your screen is not moving?
Yeah, I just realized that. I don't know why, but let me. I think I'm gonna. Now you're seeing the presentation, right? Are you seeing?
Yes, now we see it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna show it like this because I don't know why in like the complete screen is not showing. So yeah, well, this is what I've been showing so far. This is like the idea from practice to theory and then back to architectural practice. This is the framework or the things and activities that I've been looking for so far, and only an example of how people hack the infrastructure or even complement what the city is offering to the citizens. And here I was starting to show some of the uses that I've been encountering so far. Like this is like like an informal way of selling, but also of occupying this infrastructure. This is a bus stop in Mexico City. And this is people exercising in the facade of McDonald's, which I find really like interesting, and how people are actually appropriating space, even if it's not public space, which is also something interesting. This is also how these activities can diversify a space. This is like a very, it's like the facade of an Oxxo, which is like a very common like convenience store here in Mexico, but this is how people can complement their income, but also the products you can find in these stores or in these places. And this is like the same man we found before, and he's actually selling some used magazines, but he's doing it while he brought his own chair, and he's like laying back on a telephone that is currently not in use. This is in Mérida, in Mexico. So some of the concepts and the conceptualizations that I've taken so far are this idea of arbitrary intrusions that change the path of development. This is an idea by Richard Sennett. And also a lot of theory from Manuel Delgado, like these activities that do not follow or have established forms, rules, norms, or conventions that we think of when we think about urban design or urban space. And these are some of the categories that I've been giving to these uses of space that I have found so far. So in materiality, I found like you can occupy space only by the means of your body. And this is an example of a person exercising in an open space. You can also reappropriate space. This is a man using a parking, not to park his bike, but just to wait and read his telephone. This I call a ready-made, which is like something that had a totally different use, like this cart, and is now being used to sell food in different public spaces in Mexico City. And on the right side, you can find like custom-made objects, like these objects that have been explicitly designed and built to sell or to comply different functions. And in temporality, you can find like one-time only things, like these very spontaneous activities. You can find recurrent activities, like things that happen, I don't know, like every week or every month. Like in Mexico, we have this thing called tianguis, which is like a market that moves around the city. And you know that every week or every month, the tianguis is going to come to your street or to your neighborhood. You have like the occasional activities, seasonal or even like permanent. No, some of these cards and informal commercial spots, you can actually see that they are permanent and they are not really moving at all. I think someone is, yeah. So this is like an example of practice informing theory and then informing practice again. I really like this quote by William H. White, which says, "This might not strike you as an intellectual bombshell, but people like to sit where there are places for them to sit." And we usually think that what we have to do then is to put more like formal places to sit, like more benches and places like spots designed for this particular purpose. But what I have found is that if there are no such places, people are going to bring them to give them that use. So I have seen people sitting on the sidewalk, on the curb, on a fence or a railing, on a bollard, on the steps, over a window, on a monument, a fountain, a planter or bone, even on a bucket like this lady. You can see like there's no seating for her, but so she brings her own artifact to do it. You can even bring a chair from your dining room or from your garden to have this need fulfilled. So these are some of the ideas I find interesting, like the resignification of objects, for instance, like this is a shopping cart, and this guy is giving it a different use. He's actually selling like drinks in the street, and it's a way of relocating or reorienting the meaning of something by taking on new characteristics in a given context, even outside of itself. And on this side, it's like the reappropriation. This is actually something I found about reappropriation of language, but I think it also applies to space, which is a process through which a pre-existing, in this case, I changed text for space, is taken, and through a new assembly or a new space-time location, a new space that functions as a mechanism to destabilize a hegemonic narrative in a context of power relations is produced. And here you can find like this way of people reappropriating space in order to play or have like different activities outside of what the city actually planned for that space. So far, these are some of the, I don't have like any conclusions yet, and I don't even know if I'm gonna get to them, but I have some insights or questions that I think are important for, at least for our profession and for the placemaking movement and for all of these projects that we are here to share. And one is that, at least in the Mexican context or the Latin American context, which I have seen, is that design is not enough. We usually think that we can design for this type of activities, for spontaneity and for informal using of space. And what I have found here is that these activities not only arise from design, but also from open and flexible regulations, urban codes and laws that allow or even encourage such behaviors. And what I'm seeing now in Mexico is that the opposite is happening. No? We are maybe learning from these ideas of a clean space in which everything is ordered, and now municipalities and cities in Mexico are starting to regulate such behaviors and prohibiting activities such as this. Most of these activities are also driven by need, like the economic circumstances. People actually need to sell products because they have to work even in informal situations, or by shortage of spaces, for instance. Like if you don't have a space for recreation or for sports, then you're gonna take the facade of the McDonald's to do it. And some questions is that how can we can have better spaces without getting rid of complexity, conflict, and disorder, which is, I think, also a question for more affluent cities, which have gotten rid of these things. And I don't really want to romanticize informality, so I don't get into the economic side of why people have to sell their products on the street, but I think we should recognize that people, especially in this context, are natural placemakers. Like we don't need to show them anything about placemaking. And this is why I think this type of practice can inform theory and also our architectural practice. And there is just so many things to learn from this. And I think most of these tactics of occupation are actually shared worldwide. And while I was doing this presentation, I went through some of my pictures from when I was in Hong Kong with Francesco, and I actually was very, very surprised because I was already seeing this, and which is very similar to what I'm finding in the Mexican context. No, like this is a sign of not getting into the bench, but people are doing it because maybe they need to, or they don't have any other place to do what they need. And then these type of things start to happen. And I think these are some activities that we really need, like to protect and to salvage from the homogenization of the cities worldwide. No, this is something very common in Hong Kong and in China, and also in Latin America. And maybe this is something that we need to teach other cities in Europe or in the US. No? And well, yeah, I think, yeah, some examples of what I found, and this is amazing, like how we have like the same stools of the plastic stools. It's just the same as I have found here in Mexico, and this type of things. No, people taking out their own furniture in order to enjoy the street, or maybe sit around and talk to their neighbors or to their friends. And yeah, I think that's all for my presentation. And if you want to share with me some of these ways of occupying space in your own city, I would be really, really happy to hear about them. And if you want to follow also like the project or the RIVLab, the office, these are the webpage and the Instagram accounts. So I'll be glad to hear from you also through that space. So thank you.
Thank you, Jimena. Very interesting presentation. And I think it probably dovetails very well with yesterday's presentation on designing disorder by Pablo. So I think we can talk more in the discussion session. We're running out of time. I'd like to take this time to introduce our next speaker,